So I spent a lot of years in television news, and my daughter says, hey, why don't you put some of those stories you tell me into a little video and start telling some. Maybe it'd be interesting. So I'm not trying to get likes or subscribes. It's not my goal. I'm a teacher now, but I was in documentaries and broadcast news for a long time.
On the only news at 9.
I'm Len Johnson, and in the news right now, Israeli Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin and Jordan's King Hussein say their people want to live as neighbors. A break in the Helen Voorhees Brock case. That story tonight.
So I was doing the weather in Phoenix. Here's my story. And I'm going to tell you about 3 guys who I really liked and 1 guy who I didn't have a great experience with. These are all celebrities in their time. So Kiana Reeves, I'm sure you've heard of him. Most women just love him. He was in Tempe. His band was at a bar and they wanted publicity. So we had a 2-hour newscast. I'm assigned to do the weather there and interview Kiana Reeves. He won't even look at me. It's like he's 18 feet away from me to this tree that's in my yard. And it was like I was the tree. Yeah, doing this whole thing with this band. And so finally we get down to the last 10 minutes of the news and I just kind of raised my voice and go, Kiana, we'd really like an interview. I mean, because every time I'd walk to him, he'd walk away. He goes, okay. And he said something really flippant and like, we're going to be playing tonight at 7. And that's all he said. I wanted to know about him jumping out of the plane in Point Break, how he did it without a parachute. You know, how they filmed that scene. Just a couple questions I always wanted to know because I thought he was kind of cool in some of his movies. Not a good experience. Larry King, loved him. I was on the field with him at Memorial Stadium. The last year it was open in Baltimore. He genuinely just wanted to hang out, talk, didn't care who I was, I could tell. Wasn't trying to schmooze the local media, just a great guy. Glen Campbell, another great guy. He came on when I did the weather in Phoenix, and he sat with me for 2 hours in Scottsdale. Told me his life story, his traumas, his addictions, his faith. Just laid it out on his sleeve. Fetched me Diet Pepsis and let me play his guitar. Love Glen Campbell. David Brinkley, he was the anchor of NBC News, the evening news, very famous back in the 60s. And he came on the show in Houston when I hosted Houston This Morning.
You look in the sky and you say, oh, there's a chopper flying in, honey. And you put out the coals with a beer. And it turns out to be President Johnson's chopper, who you didn't like anyway. You really didn't like President Johnson.
Not very much.
You were open about that. He wants you to fly into Camp David for the weekend.
Well, we did. My wife was with me.
And stayed after his segment, after the show was done, ate more croissants and I think it was bagels, and had more coffee, and wanted to know about where I grew up and my life, and just was hanging out. Just a great guy, David Brinkley. So there's some of my stories about my years in television. It's good to look back a little.